G'day, ZiggyD here, and thanks to one of my subscribers, ToastinYouUp, I have a Multistrike melee support gem to show off to you guys. So I'm just going to start off by explaining the basic mechanics of Multistrike, a few interesting points to note, and then I'll give you guys a few of the highlight skill examples that work with it. So, as you can see there, that's a little teaser of how it actually works, but the basic idea of Multistrike is that for each one cast, you attack 3 times. However, you also have an increased or a more attack speed mod in there with that as well, because it wouldn't make much sense to attack 3 times but at your normal attack speed. So if I take Multistrike off here and I attack 3 times here, imagine if I was rooted and was forced to attack 3 times. That would actually take a lot of control away from my character, which is what Multistrike does, but you know, without really any real benefit. However, Multistrike has that more attack speed, and again, more is multiplicative in Path of Exile, so that's an incredible stat to have. It'll multiply with any of your other attack speeds. So attack speed stacking builds and the faster attack support gems are going to be pretty important in making good Multistrike builds. So another interesting mechanic to note with this is that, you know, for each attack, you get 3 attacks for 1 mana cost, essentially. Obviously, you have a big mana cost multiplier, so that means you need to have either a large mana pool or, you know, a good life pool, which you'll have if your blood magic isn't really a problem. But you want to make sure you are able to support that. But then, because you're getting a lot of attacks for that initial cost, you have a lot of chance to life leech or to life gain on hit that back. So that's pretty interesting. And then, in terms of critical hits, it's an all or nothing sort of thing. So either they'll all crit or none of them will crit at all. So although that sounds like a good thing for crit builds, it's actually kind of a bad thing, because if you're a heavy crit stacking build and you Multistrike and crit 3 times in a row, against Elemental Reflect or against Physical Reflect, that's going to kill you pretty quickly. And also, it kind of has a bit of an overkill issue, where if you're getting you know, it only might take 1 crit to kill off a mob or kill off a pack with Multistrike. You don't really need those 3 crits, so I don't think crit builds will work so well with Multistrike, but maybe it'll depend on the build and the actual skill being used. So when you actually level up Multistrike, you get 2 things. You get increased physical melee damage, which isn't a huge one, because I think most people will be stacking elemental damage for Multistrike, but the good one, the big one, the one that makes it worth leveling up, is you get more of that melee attack speed. So it ends up being quite a lot too. I think it ends up being something like 120% more melee attack speed at level 20. Not too sure, the wiki's not fully updated yet, but from projecting out from the current figures that are there. So that's pretty cool stuff there, and I think it easily outweighs the 40% less melee damage. Now again, like Melee Splash, that less melee damage isn't an effectiveness modifier. So if we look at, if I have it here, Double Strike, damage effectiveness 70%, that reduces the effectiveness of support gems that you put on that and other things that you put on that. So like life gain on hit has its effectiveness reduced by down to 70%, but that doesn't apply to Multistrike like it doesn't apply to Melee Splash. So pretty cool stuff. And the only other thing I wanted to mention in terms of mechanics is that the quality bonus for Multistrike is only melee physical damage, and it's not much. It's like 0.5% per percent of quality, so that's like 10% increased melee physical damage at 20 quality. So don't get too excited if you find a quality Multistrike. You know, Multistrike's already in high demand, and it might sell for a lot just for the WoW factor, but the quality bonus is really not going to help out too many builds, and it's a pretty minor thing, so I wouldn't worry too much about getting a quality Multistrike. Just a basic one is going to be more than enough for most builds. So now let's talk about the fact that, well, Multistrike works with pretty much every skill. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Unlike Melee Splash, which, you know, has certain limitations on what it can work with, can't work with movement skills, can't work with AoE, Multistrike works with most things. It doesn't work with Whirling Blades, but it does work with things like Leap Slam, so there's a few little interesting things there. All of these skills here, Glacial Hammer, Double Strike, Cleave, Heavy Strike, Ground Slam, and Puncture, all work pretty well. Like if I can show off Ground Slam here, you can see, wait, is that, no, that's Heavy Strike. Let's get Ground Slam. There's Ground Slam. As you can see, attacks 3 times, pretty cool stuff. You know, a nice addition to any Ground Slam build, really. However, the really highlight ones are the ones I want to show off here. Let's get rid of Heavy Strike and use Infernal Blow, because I'm going to just show off, just to make this so this video is incredibly long, just going to show off the skills that I think are really impressive with Multistrike. And I'm also going to be combining it with a Melee Splash gem, because, you know, why not? If you can get a Multistrike, you can get a Melee Splash gem. So let's use our dominating blow here. We'll try and work these guys down and get these guys to all explode on top of each other. It is so good. If I can work down this guy, he should be able to kill anything in range there as well. Let's go find another big pack. Here we go. We'll round these guys up. And just for one final demonstration, just for a bit even more fun, we'll stack up some frenzy charges first. Alright, once I actually start hitting these guys. There we go. So as you can see, dominating blow, the splash, you know, helps proc each other, and the increased just massive attack speed and the increased targeting from Multistrike is pretty impressive. So Infernal Blow, sorry, is going to be a good one to. I think we're going to see some cool Infernal Blow builds, and as you can, maybe even some cool. I think Facebreaker builds are going to benefit a lot from that as well. So Lightning Strike is another one that I think is really quite impressive. Each attack with Multistrike does proc the actual projectile, so that's really going to increase its AoE effectiveness. My DPS isn't too bad with Lightning Strike, so let's see if I can kill some of these guys. These guys are regen mobs, but maybe we can kill them off still pretty easily. Yeah, I'm probably not going to kill off that rare, but it's pretty effective, and if you have a good build and a good setup for it, I think that's going to be awesome. You might not even need things like LMP with Lightning Strike if you're using Multistrike instead, so that's a pretty cool addition, I think. Now let's show a Flicker Strike. Unfortunately I have to replace faster attacks with Flicker Strike, but we can go ahead and put something like Weapon Elemental Damage on there just for a bit of fun. So Flicker Strike works like you would hope it would. Basically, you flicker 3 times for every single cast. So if I cast on this guy here, flickers 3 times. I flickered once on the same mob there. Kind of really freaks my computer out sometimes, and I desync a lot on Australian connections, but Flicker Strike's really cool. I'll actually link to a video in the description below of a guy using Flicker Strike with Blood Rage with Multistrike, and that sort of having an actual build centered around it, because that's when it gets really impressive. And this is basically this plus melee splash, best thing Flicker Strikers could have hoped for. So you know, your dagger builds, your dagger Flicker Strike builds, I think are going to be really, really impressive from now on. That's of course if you don't mind your eyes bleeding when you Flicker Strike all over the place. So the only other one I wanted to show off is probably the craziest one of them all. I'll put faster attacks back on, and I'll go find a nice pack to demonstrate Dominating Blow, because I think this is going to be its own little metagame. There's going to be tons of Dominating Blow builds now using Multistrike and Melee Splash, because it is crazy and kind of game breaking. So let's start off with these little guys here. As you can see, I can dominate all these guys pretty quickly here. Much more quickly than you would if you were just using it as a single target attack. I kind of like how these guys teleport. When you have like a really large pack of them, you kind of get this train conductor of death sort of vibe going on. But I should be able to convert most of these guys. The good thing is if I tap them and then one of my mobs, my minions, kills them, I get that. I can also get this totem, so now I have the regen aura. That's pretty nice. I can stack up all these guys, you know, and with increased duration, you can have like a massive pack of minions with you, and I can even convert all those rares there. And these guys should teleport behind me here, like this train conductor of death style, and we can just pretty much cruise through the entire map with whatever OP mobs we decide to Dominating Blow ourselves. So this skill is kind of insane. As I said, the developers did hint at this, at these 2 support gems being crazy and game breaking, and you know, they apparently have toned it back since then. I'm sure alpha players might know if there was any major differences. Oh, let's get this blue back. This could be fun. If I can convert all these guys, this would also be a good candidate for Infernal Blow. But let's convert these guys and just continue our little train conductor action. So taking a little bit to get them, but there we go. Once we work them down, and then as the army grows in size, we grow in power, and things get even more impressive. But this is kind of fun. I kind of want to make a Dominating Blow build now, even though I'm not a big fan of melee in action RPGs. But this definitely is. These 2 support gems are a huge step in the right direction for melee. I think they don't deal with some of the survivability issues too much, but they just add so much more interesting synergies and flexibility between the different skills and, you know, the different things you can do. As you can see, I'm getting quite a good pack up here. I actually saw Kripparrian playing with this with a much higher attack speed build. Running through the cemetery, and he had like a pack of 56 mobs without increased duration. So with increased duration, you can get even a lot more than that. So pretty crazy sort of skill, pretty crazy support gem. So hopefully this video has given you guys an idea of just how it works in a basic sense. whether you want to actually make a build and try and go for it, because it is quite expensive going for multiple exalts at the moment. Hopefully it'll settle down in price soon. But yeah, hopefully you guys have some ideas of the skills you want to try with Multistrike and maybe the builds you want to make. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.